Hey everybody. Y'all hear me? Y'all hear me? Y'all hear me? What's this? What's this? What's that? Hey everybody, y'all gotta forgive my junky space. I was downstairs cooking. How y'all doing? Yeah, I was downstairs trying to cook, man. My food's still not done. It's taking forever. It's taking forever to cook, man. I tried to bake some chicken. I started to stew it, right? But I was like, you know what? I'm not stewing anything today. I'm gonna bake some chicken. You know what I mean? So I got my chicken together, put it in the oven, threw the oven on, set the timer on Alexa, and took my shower. That damn chicken's still not done. What's up, Jova? What's up, Ray Official? Shanna Ewan? What's up? Yeah, man, I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing. I'm explaining why I'm right. You know what I mean? I had to put the shirt on because y'all, some people don't know. You know what I mean? But yeah, my room junky as the fuck. I don't care. Let me back it up, son, or bring it forward, son, so y'all can't see me so much. You know what I mean? Or do something. Cause yo, it is what it is, man. Fuck it. My room junkie. I don't care. But yo, this is what's up, right? Jova, Shanna. Who else is in here? Come on, let some people come in here. Um, I have, get my snacks and stuff, and yeah, just let some more people come in here, man. Got the libations. You know what I mean? I ain't giving you no names, but this is some flavored coconut water here. Ah, but yeah, man. Some shit that's heavy on my heart today, man. You know. So I'm gonna start this off in a little. Just give me a little second. Get a couple of people up in here. Yeah, I'm talking about with the boys in the world. Everybody out here prepping. Everybody out here figuring this shit out, trying to survive, trying to live. You know what I mean? Everybody doing their thing. But this is green. This is green. Yeah. It's not no fake ass drink. This is libation. This is libation. You know what I mean? I had to get my libations going. Yep. Ray Official, my fellow Trinity Arms and Gear. You know what I mean? Joe Vop. Yeah, man. Just get some more people up in here, man. What's going on? Yeah. I'm here to have my drink. The drink with the gun on it. It's too much green. I had to play with some stuff today, man. I was cooking, so I just threw everything on. Almost got here late. Yeah. So social engineering, right? Some people look at that word like engineering as if it's something difficult or something hard. What engineering is literally is the application of sciences and mathematics. You know what I mean? And by applying science and math, you can put them together and create something functional. So, scientists have all of this stuff, psychology, uh, the statistics, uh, every daggone thing. The daggone science for, and there's a math, there's arithmetic, there's algebra, there's calculus, they all now all of this stuff. You got figures and you got facts and you got matter and you got energy. Now you know all of these things, and they teach you the very basics of these things in our primary education. But now, when I was in school, it's like, what the fuck I'm gonna do with this? You know what I'm saying? What the fuck I'm gonna do with some damn algebra? Or what the fuck am I gonna do with calculus? How is this going to do anything for me? Or what does it mean to me in everyday life? I'm out here struggling. Or what am I going to do with a psychology? Motherfucker, I don't want to read nobody mind. I just want to get my paper. Or what I'm going to do with physics? You know what I mean? I don't want to do none of this shit. You know what I mean? It's yeah, that's a good way of saying smash that Jova. It's utilizing of scientific methods, right? That's a good way of saying it. So one of the things that I was talking about, right, was the crazy thing is when you utilize these scientific methods and these mathematical methods, it could be a simple thing. All of us in there go into the damn kitchen of our homes, right? We go in the kitchen, we make a motherfucking sandwich. You know what I mean? And we put our bread together and shit and eat that shit, right? I ain't even talking about no engineering or the mechanics of refrigeration or the refrigerator, but we make a fucking sandwich, you know what I mean? And we go literally, there's engineering, that social engineering that goes into the design of that kitchen. You going from the refrigerator to the counter to the sink to the stove. Every halfway decent kitchen setup is set up like that because it has a workflow. And that part of it is called ergonomics. It's just like, okay, we could put the refrigerator here, here, and here, right? But what happens when you put the refrigerator next to the goddamn sink? You see what I'm saying? Or what happens when you put the stove, you know what I mean, in a certain place where it becomes a hazard? You know what I mean? So some type of engineering has to go into it. So it's like the ergonomics, we talk about the psychology. How are people going to use this? You see what I'm saying? And then they put it together. It's like, okay, this person going to go into the refrigerator. He's going to grab something off the lower shelf. It might be, or they put the doors on the refrigerator. So you're going to grab the cold cuts or whatever off the thing. You're going to grab your cheese. You're going to go in there and you're going to grab your condiments or whatever, mayonnaise, mustard, salt, whatever the fuck you put on your sandwich. You know what I'm saying? You're going to make your sandwich. You know what I mean? You're going to take everything out, make your sandwich on the counter, put everything back. You know what I mean? You're going to eat your sandwich, and then you're going to, whatever, go past the sink, with your dishes, put your dishes in the sink. If you're cooking something, you're going to take all your food out of the refrigerator, put it on the counter, prep your food, hopefully clean your food. Hopefully, you know what I mean? Clean your food and then, put it in the oven. You know what I mean? Prep your food, clean your food, put it in the oven. And it's just that flow: refrigerator, counter, sink, oven. That's engineering. You know what I'm saying? And it's engineered so that you don't even have to think to do it. You can do that shit blindfolded. You know what I mean? Make a fucking sandwich blindfolded. It's shit. You know what I mean? And it's not because it's your kitchen. You should be able to go to any kitchen and the pattern. The kitchen might look different. It might be a big ass kitchen, but I guarantee you that fucking pattern is the same. You know what I mean? So it's for you not to have to think about it. You know what I mean? And that's some kind of ergonomic psychology or social engineering. In other words, society has a way of programming us, right? In order to fit its needs of the society. You know what I mean? So call what the courts would call a productive citizen. You know what I mean? So everybody said, what is a productive citizen? Or this person's a criminal. That motherfucker not productive. Or this motherfucker bum. He ain't doing shit. Or XYZ. You know what I mean? So there's labels for productive citizens. You know what I mean? So if you're a productive citizen, that means that you are working in the wheel, the fucking matrix, if I might say. You're working in this wheel. So I'm going into working in this wheel. So the trick is, right? What is your function in the wheel? So the way the uh the way the system works through a series of programs. So it functions just like your computer or your thing or anything. I like to say when I went to school, when I went to school and learned about engineering, it was like God, it was almost like divinity. God created man in his image, man creates everything else in his image. You know what I mean? So one of the things that's happened, so the system is here. They put the system in place. We're going to build America. And from America, we're going to build the world. And we're going to build it in the image of the people, of the designers of this, right? It just so happens that some of these designers of this system happen to be European, of European descent, right? They designed this system, and in the system, they had to implement certain amounts of programs. You know what I mean? So we implemented a program for, and these programs have to operate or should operate in the guidelines with some exceptions. You see what I'm saying? So, or when you get your password in school, I mean, and at work, you have access, but your privileges are not the same as someone else, as the guy in IT or the CEO. Your privileges are very, very different, but you're still you're still in the same program, but everybody doesn't have the same privileges. So being using the computer analogy, they have programs, right? So you got programs, and then in the programs, you have guidelines to these programs. So we're going to use the United States Constitution as the guidelines within this program. So everything in this program operates within its guidelines, but some have more privilege than others, right? So who is it that has more privilege? The people who are running the IT. You know what I mean? IT, they got a little more privilege than you to keep everything else in line. So you're saying, how do they program it? How do they program us? Well, the first thing I noticed in my programming when I self-reflected, when I went to school, right? Went to regular public school, the first thing they showed me was how to line up, single file line, size, place, order. Some bullshit like that. I don't even know if they still do that. You know what I mean? Later on in life, when I went into the military, one of the first things that I was shown how to do was line up in some sort of size, place, goddamn order. You know what I mean? And then I was told how to walk left, right, left. You know what I mean? Didn't tie your shoes, didn't they built it was a program that was implemented. When I went into high school, whatever, first thing I was given was a schedule, a program card. I was built to conform. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, but I was in the program to become part of the great will or the workforce or the system, society. You know what I mean? Now, how I was upgraded or updated, you know what I mean, depend on my performance in the system. You know what I mean? Some parts are redundant parts and that shit don't go nowhere. It just sits there like the damn one of these useless ass keys on the keyboard. It just sits there. It's absolutely redundant. Nobody uses it or barely uses it. It has a function in an emergency case or some shit like that. And the way society works, it makes certain people that have little to no use redundant. We just keep them to the side until we find a use for them. Sometimes we find a use, but creating complexes. So we have our military industrial complex, our prison industrial complex, or what we would call institutionalized prisons, uh, institutionalized slavery, institutionalized poverty. You know what I mean? You got to have is that famous word that I love, something called capitalism. You got to have, if you want to rise to the top, you got to have people at the bottom, right? And America is built on this concept, right? You that's the basic thing that they teach you in school, and they literally tell you the truth about that. This society is built for people who can come start from here and get to there. You know what I mean? But the problem became something called greed. The people up here are the people up here that don't like competition. So they minimize it. You know what I mean? So they do everything in their power to minimize their competition. You know what I mean? So basically, the rich want to stay rich, and and the richest want to stay the richest. You know what I mean? So the powerful want to stay powerful. You know, and they don't like things to disrupt that because they're very comfortable in their position. Before the Civil War, I know a lot of people may debate this or so, but it's fucking fact. The Civil War was fought over slavery, right? Why slavery? Because slavery was the economic mechanism that kept rich people rich, whether it was industry, it wasn't just plantations, it was industry, factories, that shit kept it going. You know what I mean? It kept wages low and it and a lot of other things, right? Okay. When one of the principles of a slave, right, that was outlawed, a slave could not know how to read. A slave could not know how to read. Why this motherfucker could do anything? They were some blacksmiths that just do everything, raise horses. They knew how to do every goddamn thing on a plantation, run all the equipment, everything, right? But literacy was illegal. You taught a slave how to read, you might as well got the fucking death penalty. The reason why is because once that person was literate, they can not just do the task given to them, they can advance themselves, right? Moreover, everybody's supposed to be halfway intelligent, right? These people who were former slaves became the competition, and rose themselves up from nothing to something, to a little bit of something. You know what I mean? New things were implemented, right? We had immigrants coming in the country, especially after World War, after the Civil War. More immigrants. It was a splash of immigrants coming over before that, but even more came over. In the early 1900s, even more immigrants. Right, the corporations took control of the government. Of Had more power than the government. Corporations said they couldn't stop these people from getting educated, so the corporations decided that they should let the education, let these people get educated, but that education is going to only lead to working for us. So we don't need no smart ass that know every damn thing. We're just going to give them enough education, enough literacy, enough mathematics, enough literature, so we can get them to work for us efficiently, and we can just ease out. We don't just have to be rich. We could. What's up, Mike Ken? We don't have to be rich. Shanna Ewing, what's up? We could just chill and don't do shit. You know what I mean? And let these motherfuckers run the whole goddamn thing. You know what I mean? So it gets like that, and next thing you know, it just falls in the system. And then it's like, okay, these people could run the whole thing. One of the things they didn't teach a lot of us, right? And it's a goddamn shame. They didn't teach us about money, the thing that we're supposedly working for. the things that supposed to be we should be able to move in advance and get us ahead. I remember very general in primary education and talk about like high school. And I remember like very small parts of financial literacy or economics or anything. You know what I'm saying? I was just a doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, or some shit like that, gang leader, or some bullshit like that. I was never taught what these guys do in the Cass. My computer froze. My computer froze. Damn. Y'all hear me? I lost the screen, man. My fucking internet. Something happened. Yo, anyway, what I was talking about, man. Somebody come in here and hop in here with me. And hey Carbon Q. So anyway, I forgot what I was talking about because of this damn technical difficulties. Yeah, yeah, something happened. There's something going on with this crazy ass internet shit. But yo, uh, somebody, I dropped the link. Somebody come in here and holler at me and talk with me. But what I'm talking about is society has programmed us to be worker fucking bees, right? But we can't be the queen bee, you know what I mean? Or, you know what I mean? The rich just stay richer. So one of the things that bothered me, right? That even led me to this shit, right? Is Zadie, right? Zadie had her little school review and shit today, right? So she do everything she's supposed to do. But Zadie has autism. So they gonna tell me that she has to take a damn standardized test, like the regular kids, in order to go to the third grade. I'm like, what? So she has to sit there and take this bubble goddamn test. I said, what the hell you want to take a bubble test for? She ain't gonna sit there. She got it. She does her own little thing. You can't tell her to sit down and conform and be a good student like we used to do, like they programmed us to do. 5 years old, 6 years old, sit down at your desk and fold your hands. Like the fuck, you know what I mean? Why we learn that? Because they want us to be good ass workers and they don't want us to comply. The unions in life got broken up, you know what I mean? They tell us that, we can have anything we want, but can we really? Even if we work for it, there's some things that are seriously unobtainable. Even with all the money, you hit the mega million for some big, certain big, some things are still completely unobtainable to to what they call the common man and the common woman. You know what I mean? Why is that? You know what I mean? Why are things still, because the system is doing a number on us, man. We've been, like, say for instance, the system got us so messed up. I posted a thing on Instagram today, right? About 401k. And the thing that brought it to my attention, back in the days, right? When you went into the military, you did your 20, you know what I mean? You got your pension, however you ride it, how, at that 15-year mark, you peel off that shit a little bit. But however you get your pension, you get 50, 75, 100, depending on how many years you did before you retired. You got a pension. A lot of city jobs and state jobs, when I was growing up, people did their job 20, 30 years, they retired, they got their pension, right? Somebody came up with a good concept of the 401k. 401k was a good concept. You put money in, your company match it. You work for the company for 20 years. As long as you work for it, they match it or they contribute to it as well. Some companies don't match. They contribute to this 401k as well, right? They said, boom, if you do 30 years and you contribute this much percentage of your pay for 30 years, you should fucking retire nice. And everybody's like, yeah, that's a good idea. They looked at the charts, they 401k, like banging. You know what I mean? My mother wanted them. My mother worked for the state of New York. She's like, yeah, fuck that. Yeah. 401k popping. You know what I mean? That was back then. They thought they were going to have their pension when they retire or whatever. They thought they were going to have their pension, their social security, and the 401k was just the gravy on the thing. Was just a gravy on the cake, right? The pension was guaranteed. You know what I mean? All you had to do is be a good ass worker. You know what I mean? And keep your damn job and you get your damn pension. You know what I mean? That shit was guaranteed. You know what I mean? Just be a good worker bee. You know what I mean? Just come to work on time, do what the fuck you're supposed to do, right? They sold these people these 401k as if it's an extra. Later on, and even in the military, they removed the pension and put in a 401k. So no more pensions for working 20, 30 years for these companies. Because the 401k, you can get so much more money. And it was easier on the companies because they got to pay a motherfucker that ain't even working after he worked for 40 years. They still got to pay him till he die and advance some benefits. That shit, wow. You know what I mean? All of these guys in the military, you know what I mean, that did they 20 or whatever, they got to pay these, they got to pay us till we die. You know what I mean? They just, corporate, being that the government prints up money and everything, corporate America and even the United States government right now is tired. We're tired of paying these pensions, so they slowly implemented these 401k. Then they replaced the pension with the 401k. The problem with, or in the military, the thrift savings plan, right? There's no more pensions, right? Hardly any more pensions, right? These cats give us these 401ks, but nobody tells us two things, right? And we are not, and a lot of us is not educated on how these things work, on how these uh hedge funds get these 401ks and gamble with your fucking money. You know what I mean? The company, whatever they contribute, is written off anyway, so they get a tax credit and a rebate for that shit. You know what I'm saying? They don't lose, but these hedge funds get to, if they're careless with your money, you can fuck around and lose everything and retire with nothing. There's no pension. You get the $700 or however much it is for Social Security. I don't know how. I think my mom told me they gave them a raise, a Social Security raise, but I don't necessarily remember what exactly it is. But it ain't no damn money. You see what I'm saying? So it's no pension, hardly no. Or you relying on these fools on Wall Street. That's why everybody's like, yeah, the stock market's good. The stock market's good. But the other part about the 401ks they don't tell you, right? Yeah, you depending on how you categorize your 401k, like how the fuck you supposed to know how to categorize. So they got low yield, low gains, right? They got medium risk, medium risk, medium range, and they got these high risk. However, you supposed to know how to invest your money, how your money is supposed to grow. In other words, so you supposed to know the stock market. So they taking advantage of the shit that they didn't teach you about how the markets play, right? The crazy thing about how the markets play, these motherfuckers on the market learn how to make money off of losing money because it's not their money. So they lose your money to make money for somebody else. You see what I'm saying? And ain't no guarantees of that shit. 2008 first show people. And the 401k lobby said that was the workers' fault for putting their money in those type of stocks. What Mike Hinn said, and now these companies are now trying to have full-time workforce by employing a workforce part-time employees that the company won't have to pay benefits and pension to. Hardly anybody got a pension anymore, Mike Hinn, but we're going to get to that. That shit's short. And then they manipulate the market. So these people figured out how to make money off of losses. And because it ain't their loss, it's your loss. You know what I mean? With the aging workforce, with us aging, you know what I mean? I'm 50 damn years old, man, and my mortality is starting to kick the fuck in. You know what I mean? I didn't know. I'm figuring this shit out as I go along. You know what I mean? I wish I would have learned this in first grade, how to save, you know what I mean? How to manipulate my money or learn basic microeconomics and transition that into the macroeconomics of the world. You know what I mean? So I wish I would have learned that, you know what I mean? I wish they would have focused and taught that, you know what I mean? And then taught how to apply these methodologies of this chemistry and this physics and this mathematics and shit like that. How to actually use that. They should have taught that shit in elementary school and then reinforced it in um, junior high school and shit, so we can be very better prepared citizens. But the fact is, they don't want you to be prepared. The greed forced these motherfuckers to keep us ignorant. And it's not even a matter of white or black. It's a matter of the 1% and the rest of y'all motherfuckers. You know what I mean? The rest of us. You know what I'm saying? That's it. If you ain't kin, brother, sister, cousin, none of that shit, you fucking hit. You know what I mean? What the hell does this got to do with 2A? Is y'all gonna ask, right? Basically, if all of us is getting older in age, right? Our 401ks crash, right? Our jobs is lost. And somebody do like part-time where they don't have to pay nobody benefits, you know what I mean? Or we can't get our shit. People gonna just like, yo, be knocking on the boss's door. You think the bosses want somebody armed? Asking them fucking questions like, where the fuck is my money at? No, 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 no. Disarm them and then take all this shit. You know, and this is just the reality of it. And I ain't even talking about no hocus pocus spookus conspiracy theory, but I just want you to look at the world. Look at not just America, look at the world. Because most of the shit that we was told about America was a lie. Or it wasn't a lie, it wasn't the complete truth. You know what I'm saying? It was not the complete truth. You know what I mean? What we've been told about our founding fathers, it was not the complete truth. You know what I mean? What we was told about all of this shit that happened, it was not the complete truth. And anything my grandmother told me a long time ago, right? If it's not the complete truth, what is it? You know what I mean? So yeah, financial literacy is a must. But then again, with the other thing, right? A lot of us out here with YouTube, right? And we're trying to educate ourselves. I know, especially me, I didn't know something. I hit the Google machine, I hit YouTube, and I tried to find out about firearms. And that was one of the best things I've ever done in my life because I was able to meet some really, really dope people and made friends that it seems like, I've known all my life, or it's like, where the hell you guys been? And you ladies been, man. And it's been a beautiful journey. But just like any learning journey, right? There's these things where in the firearms world and the 2A community, there's things that are not all the way official. You know what I mean? It's not all the way true. You know what I mean? You got to take this shit with a can of paint, and yeah, you got to do this shit with a can of paint and just do more due diligence. You know what I mean? One resource is not good enough. Two resources not good enough. So messing with the internet, you might got to go through like 10 or 15 to just put everything, all the scraps of partially true stuff together to form something that's absolutely true. You know what I mean? Um, and find something that not just absolutely true, but something that works for you. You see what I'm saying? I dropped the link if anybody want to come in. Y'all come in. Y'all scroll up or something. But finances is the same way. So I look at the internet and I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna build me a get Armel shit together kit. What the fuck do I do to get Armel together kit? First thing I looked at was finances, right? This was some years back. While I was out in the fleet, I was a financial petty officer. So I trained all the youngins that used to come in on a little bit of financial responsibility. Like, yo, you're E2, you don't make enough money to buy a fucking car, or you don't have enough money to get in rims, or yet plan your money out. Stay on a boat for a year. or I'll stay on base for a year, chill, and then do something after your first deployment or something. But that never worked. First income boy come out of there, get the car, the rims, the system, and I was one of them. You know what I mean? Cars and rims, the system. You know what I mean? The fresh gear, going to the club every day, regardless of what literacy or what training you give them. It never works. It never ever works to this day, right? Because they didn't have the fundamentals of it from their bias or back in the days from their household training and their whatever. They never had they never really learned it. So they end up throwing, a lot of their shit under it went in one ear and out the other, right? But financial literacy, seriously, that shit finances only get you so far. For real. Because finance finance money is uh a very oh yeah, about to get the marriage shit. Yeah, that shit too. That's something else. Them cats thought you get married, get your BAQ, your BAH and BAQ, and your motherfucking comrades. You know what I mean? That was a bonus, but they didn't calculate in the price of the rent and all of that shit. You know what I mean? I could train the motherfucker. I was telling the motherfucker how to train it out of personal experience. You see what I'm saying? Because I did it, and just like that, the shit happens again. Anyway, anyway, but what I'm saying is finances is just part of it, right? The other part that a lot of there's other parts, and another one that I want to focus on is civics. You know what I mean? Civics. They sell us this bullshit ass story about founding fathers and the Civil War and America is such a fucking great place and all of that. But what's the real story? Is that necessarily true? And just because they told us this, does that make it true? After the daggone test, the region test, or the final to pass a grade, people don't even really even think about or research that particular fact. That shit is some bullshit, yo. It's not the all the way truth. You know what I mean? What made America great? Right? The thing that makes America great, and I'm gonna tell you this, right, is the things that America has done so fucking bad that we were able to overcome it. You know what I mean? So we could talk about we could talk about we could talk about the fucking inception of this shit. You know what I mean? Lexington and Concord, Boston Tea Party. We could talk about all of that shit. It was an ill situation. The Constitution so ill, it had to be some criminals that wrote that shit. But they don't tell you that. We don't learn that complete story about who these guys, John Hancock and these who were these personalities. You know what I mean? Thomas Jefferson and them. Oh, the worst thing you heard about Thomas Jefferson, he was a slave owner who was screwing his his slave who happens to be his wife's sister. So his half black slave who happened to be his wife's half sister. His wife who died half sister. You know what I mean? That's the worst shit you find out about him. You know what I mean? But you don't know the fact of him being bipolar. And regardless of the fact that he's sleeping with a black woman, he didn't necessarily like to look at black people. Or or some of the shit he did was kind of like counter suspect to the shit that was, affected the world. You know what I mean? The rest of the world. You know, John, John Adams, his nemesis. You know, we very little people know very little about these cats and the interior of their life. And all of them have, like, people wrote biographies and studies on them, and people study this shit, and it's available. And if you understand the minds of these people, these Alexander Hamiltons, these John Adams, these Thomas Jeffersons, these James Madison, these Monroe, you start to fuck. It's like these motherfuckers was running this shit. You know, these motherfuckers wrote this shit. They had to be criminals. And indeed, when you find out they were something like that. But anyway, you move on, right? Civil War, right? These people going on, and I'm ranting on and talking about this stuff, but learning civics is important to understand the way that this whole shit functions. So you got finance and you got civics going on, right? You got finance and you got civics going on, right? When you're an immigrant coming to this country and you want to get a U.S. citizenship, you got to take a civics test. Motherfuckers that been sitting here all this life couldn't even know that. They don't even know the Star Spangled Banner, who wrote it. You know what I mean? They don't know nothing, and they functional, and they're function, and that shit is all cool, right? But if you ever want to go beyond or be upgraded in the system, it's imperative that you know how the system work or what it's doing or what's your place. And if you know your place in the system, you know what upgrades you need to get to be a more functional part of it. This shit been going on for daggone probably 700 years, some 400 years before daggone this country was it. You know what I mean? But it was a whole bunch of little pieces that was working to get it to where it is now, right? Problem right now is the roosters is coming home to crow. All that shit that was built, people are, thank you to the internet, are starting to educate themselves and see, like, what the fuck is wrong with this? What's wrong with this picture? You know what I mean? We got immigrants coming into this country, and we sitting here wondering why we giving these immigrants from Guatemala, El Salvador, these motherfucking $9,000 checks, and you know, sitting in housing because somebody up there feels a certain type of way. You know what I mean? Then you got to think of, we got slavery. We got what Mr. Andrew Jackson did to, our Native Americans. You know what I mean? And you hear about the bad stuff, the Trail of Tears and removing these people, even with the Supreme Court decision. But some of the good things is, under his rule, that dude on $20 bill had America with zero debt to anybody in the world. You know, there's a lot of little nuances to it. You know what I mean? How did he pay back the U.S. debt? With slavery, with a high ass GDP. You see what I'm saying? And that's produced, you know, that produced the way that America proceeded from there. You see what I'm saying? Wiped out the debt. He ain't had no debt to late. America really didn't have no debt to late way later on. You know what I mean? Paul Revere, all that dumb shit. I mean, yeah, Joe Vaz said that, but yeah, this shit is crazy. But educate yourself and know that, what I mean, after, during the industrial era, right? Back to the finance part, it's civics. So when you understand civics, you understand how corruption played a part. So you got finance and you got civics. After the Civil War and the stupid ass Reconstruction that was over with, or that never really happened, or kind of happened but was kind of incomplete, right? We had an industrial revolution going on where these heavy hitter corporations made so much money that they were able to buy into elections. You know what I mean? They were able to bring immigrants over here to build these railroads. You know what I mean? The more immigrants, the better. You know what I mean? They were able to fund wars around the world in order to get the things that they needed to build the things that they needed to build. They became very, very influential, right? A president named Theodore Roosevelt, who happened to be a son of a really rich family up in New York, they went corruption banging. You know what I mean? They just wanted to shut down these daggone monopolies or these corporations that was not only basically taking advantage of the people, but also taking advantage of the land. They were just buying up land and they thought they could dig oil everywhere in the fucking planet. Everywhere there's a drop, they was drilling for oil and leaving it for waste, right? Anyway, I'm just going throughout history or whatever. Just mind me, I'll just ride with me. Just ride with me. But yeah, this shit it got kind of crazy. So they bust up the corporations, right? Years later, the corporations come back and they got new tricks. They try to make sure the government doesn't bust them up no more. You know what I mean? And even now, the guardrails is fucking off. These corporations running rampant, and they running so rampant that they incorporating in other countries and then selling licenses to each other in America. You know what I mean? This it's just rampant and there's nothing to stop. The banks are acting like Federal Reserve. So the way you got civics, right? The way the Federal Reserve work is the Federal Reserve lends money to the banks at a particular interest rate. The banks borrows that money and charges a little bit more of an interest rate to the customer, me, you, everyone else. You know what I mean? Businesses or everyone else. What's happening now is the banks are borrowing money from the Federal Reserve at an interest rate. The banks are lending that money to their subsidiaries, right? Who are then lending their money to the subsidiaries. And then after like 5 subsidiaries down, they lend it to you. That means that you got to pay this bank, and that bank got to pay this bank, and that bank got to pay this bank. So if you defraud on this bank, right, that bank ensures that, depending on the amount of money it is insured and gets a government bailout, right? But the top bank never fucking loses. The bank at the top, it's a giant fucking pyramid scheme, man. And these are the people that we giving our 401k to. These fucking bankers and these hedge funds, these motherfuckers. They want this shit to go because they got a nice cushion, and yet they lending money to the agricultural industry complex, the food industry. You know what I mean? Food industry raises the price because they say, but you know what I mean? There's more food wastage than anything. So there's an overabundance of food. So why is the prices so high? So they can cushion themselves. So they can keep a little, pay them a little, so they can pay them a little. But everybody keeping a little on the side. You know what I mean? Except for the person at the end of the bottom. And they even got the corporations even got the best shit going on. They not taking the blame for this shit. They letting you blame the politician. You blame America. America fucked up, man. You blaming America, man. You know what I mean? You blame America, man. But yo, come on in and talk shit, man, because it's like I'm talking to my damn self. You know what I mean? I'm gonna invite y'all in, whoever, and I hope my internet don't freeze again. You know what I mean? Hope my internet don't freeze. Come on in here, enjoying your boy. Yeah, man. But that's yo. This shit is making me sick, man, because it's making everybody have to, you know what I mean, turn against each other and all of, you know what I mean, blaming the immigrants, blaming motherfucking black, blaming crime, blaming every goddamn thing. Crime is a money maker. You know what I mean? There's people making money off of crime, and it ain't the criminals. Most of the time, it's the fucking lawyers and the bankers. So if you're making significant amounts of money off of crime, do you really, truly, and honestly want crime to fucking stop? You know what I mean? Are you serious? And people, you really, the people who paying the politicians, right? City Styles, what's up, man? Come on in here, Dutch. Click that link and talk to me, babe, bro. You really seriously think that these fucking politicians want crime to stop? If they get crime to stop, it's impossible anyway, because criminality is part of human nature. You know what I mean? But they blow it up so they overinflate it so they can have something, talking points to talk to you, to tell you half truths, to make you feel like you need something that you don't need. If you really want to stop crime, man, you got to take a proactive stance in your own community, a proactive stance in your own family. You know what I mean? You got to build it. You can't depend on this damn system. If you want the system to work for you, you got to create your own system and you got to upgrade it, and then you'll move up. What's up, Joe? Talk
Hey,
your.
what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah, hey, just wanted to come in and everything else and touch on some of the things you had said, right? Hopefully, everyone out there understands what the Fed is, the Federal Reserve, and even though they have federal in their name, it's not a government entity. It's a private-owned entity that sets the interest rates that affects everything we do. You want to go to your car loan, it's tied to the prime rate. You want to get credit cards, it's tied to the prime rate. You want to get a house loan, it's tied to the prime rate. Yesterday, the Fed didn't move the prime rate, right? And speculation is two reasons. It is an election year, so they might move it or lower it. Um,
They already started that bullshit.
they might lower it in the springtime, right, to make everyone feel good about that stuff. You start looking at your 401ks, right? So one thing, Armel, you said the military still has their pension, i.e., retirement plans, but they've also offered the thrift savings plan and everything else for people to buy
I
into.
don't think they have. I don't. I think they got rid of the option for the pension for these new boys.
No, no, no. They
That's what
still
I
they
heard,
still
man.
they still have it. They still have it. But then they have the option to go strictly TSP. Um, and you're right. I didn't start learning about finance until I got hit over the head with late fees and everything else because I figured, hey, I had $30 due on my credit card bill. I paid it by the time it was due, but they still charged me the VIG. I was like, yo, that's some gangster shit. They don't teach that. So I'm already starting at a deficit as a grown man, not knowing how money works. If I don't know how money works, I can't get money and keep money. That's the game. It's not how much you make, it's how much you can keep and what you can do with it. When you look at
Mm-hmm.
the John Paul Gettys and everything else that started the reasons they started the antitrust suits and all this other stuff. And we were just talking about this the other day about how one of those guys made $38 million out of thin air, and that was gangster. You know, he went and brought a company, had the value, he said, hey, don't cash this check. He put it under another holding company, had the valuation at $70 million and sold the stock. And then he liquidated the stock and sold the other company. Boom, $35 million.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at what America was built on blood. You know, that's a fact. Um, you start looking at international banking and bank to bank loans and bank to bank interest rates and everything else. You know, um, yeah, that's where you make your money. You make your money on the interest.
Yo, I went to the Federal Reserve when I was a kid on a school trip, right? Because that's where all the girls was going in high school. All the girls went there and shit. It went to the Federal Reserve in New York, and I was watching them shred money like billions of dollars. I was like,
Yeah,
money ain't shit to these motherfuckers, man. We out here fucking starving, and it's really, really not. The other side of it, we went down to the gold votes, right? So every country and shit had a gold vote. So they paid a debt. You know, the other function of the Federal Reserve is to maintain the U.S. monetary fund. That's international money that's coming into the United States. So every country has basically a savings account at the U.S. Federal Reserve.
It's a
Now,
depository for
yeah,
international funds.
yeah, it's a depository. So they move like, say, for instance, I'm gonna use a country that everybody might like or might love. A very liberal country, right? France moves their gold. They owe the United States some bread. You know what I mean? France goes, takes their little gold out. They pay back in gold and put it into the United States box, and they take that shit out to Kentucky somewhere, Fort Knox, some damn where, out there with Jova at. So they take that shit over there to Fort Knox. So they just take it out of the box. Federal Reserve move it, and U.S. pays they shit, pays they bills, move the rest out to the U.S. Gold Reserve. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's in Fort Knox for real or not, but I'm just using that as an example. But it's probably there. anyway, anyway, they do all that shit, right? So I was like, what happens? And I asked a question while I was on my little school trip. What happens if the country doesn't have any money? And I scratched my head. I don't remember the answer I got at that point, but it scratched my head because I'm wondering here. We got a country like, if you're not paying attention to what's going on in the world, Burkina Faso. You know what I mean? Burkina Faso is the 5th largest gold mining producer in the fucking world. It's also the 15th poorest country in the fucking world.
Yeah.
How does that work?
So that works, and everyone should have heard of the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, and the World Economic Forum, and those guys, right? The International Bank. So one of the greatest things that they can do is they can loan your country money, right? So in the case of uh, Faso, they loaned them money, right? The French guaranteed it and everything else. The French was pulling money out of it. So what you end up doing is it's just like it's macroeconomics on a scale of back home when you go to the Shylock or the bookie. The bookie doesn't want you to pay off that debt. He's going to come up with all these exorbitant fees and taxes and everything else. So I'm going to loan Armel $50,000, and he got a nut every week $1,000, and he can't make that. So when he comes up short, I'm gonna take that 500 he gives me. That goes to the interest. He's just paying off interest, right? And I tack on more interest to the principal. He never pays off the principal. After about a year or two, he'll say, "Hey, Armel, you can't do this, man. Let me come in for a piece of your business." Okay. So then guess what I do? I run my bookmaking operation from his shop, right? And I'm continuing to do that, continuing to do that. Then all of a sudden it's like, "Hey, Armel, you're never going to get out of here. I want the shop and I own it." So what they're doing is they loan these companies or these countries this money with this impossible debt. They say, "Hey, we're going to build infrastructure. We're going to build uh, refineries. We're going to build roads. We're going to build hospitals. And this is how much it's going to cost you, right?" I can't pay off that debt. So slowly but surely, they take over control of that country. Look at all the post-colonial countries in Africa that the French, the British, and everything else have. They still de facto control those companies because they make them use the British pound, the French
This is the
franc, and
crazy thing
everything else.
about it, right, Joe? The money that they lending them is the money that they took off from them from the colonial shit.
Yeah, yeah,
So they lending them back their own fucking money and charging them fucking interest. And
yeah,
they
exactly.
and
That's the
literally
juice.
they doing the same thing than us. The same thing that's happening on a micro is happening on a macro. The problem, the issue that's happening now in current events is somebody went to school and somebody learned finance and somebody scratched their head and said, "Why are we still poor and we got this cobalt for these
So
fucking cell phones?
yeah,
This
so
we're not
so
paying the loan back."
they
So
nationalized
now,
all this stuff to kick France out. So here's one
yeah,
even better than this, right? Let's look at something a little bit closer. Let's look at Haiti, right? Haiti was the first nation of African descent to win their independence. They won their independence from France, right? Before
Right.
Revolution won. And what did the international court at the time do? They said, hey, Haiti, you owe France all this money for this war and for reparations for the plantations, the property, everything else. You realize Haiti just recently paid off that debt, probably about 15 years ago,
And
right?
that
How
happened in
gangster is that?
1804, everybody.
Yeah. How gangster is that? So just by that, that's one of the reasons why Haiti is very, very poor right now, right? Because they had that international debt that they had to pay to France. And then
And,
with that, so what do you say? It's like, hey, you owe me money. Let me
and
come in
here's a
here and do
part of that
this.
story. Let me interrupt you real quick, Joe.
Let me run your infrastructure, right?
Let me
Reduce it.
run you a little bit of
Go
that
ahead, you
story
got
in
it.
American
Go.
history, right? The debt that Haiti took on when it became an independent republic, right? They took on a debt from England in case France came back because England was at war with Napoleon was running rampant in fucking Europe at the time, right? United States was at war in 1812 with England as well, with that crazy war of 1812. The money that Haiti borrowed, because they didn't have problems like that, they loaned to the United States. And then the United States turned around and fucked them when, they made their treaty with England. So now they in debt with England, right? The money that the Haitians borrowed from England and gave to the United States, right? To fight fucking England and for the fucking Louisiana Purchase, right? That $15 million that Thomas Jefferson got for the Louisiana Purchase, he got that shit from Haiti.
Yeah. So basically, to bring that all up, right? Where I'm from, that's called buying a marker. You know what I mean? Is that gangster or what? And it's all legal. If you did it or I did it, they would try to prefer RICO charges against us.
Yeah, that shit is nuts. So anyway, but that shit is so nuts. But the same thing they doing on the on the macro, that's the big scale. They're doing the same thing on the micro. They're loaning us money for us to pay somebody else. They're paying us so we can pay them back. We are working to pay our bills. And the whatever's left over, we're going to give that back to them in another way. And then they're going to give us a debt. So we never get out of it. So the whole purpose is to figure out how the fuck to get out of this cycle, yo. How are we going to beat this cycle? You know what I mean? I know a way. And there has been, in America, they've done this before. It's called organizing, unionizing, and going on strike. But the unions got corrupted. The corporations bought up the unions. A lot of the unions are ran by the corporations.
Well, so you have to look at it, right? When you let's go back to when the Industrial Revolution first started and everything else, and then like let's go to really the late 1800s, early 1900s in the U.S. with factories, with everything, and they were starting to unionize, better wages, better working conditions, and everything else for the workers, right? You would have things called company towns, right? And the company towns was straight gangster because essentially they would build a town around a local factory or industry, and they would say, hey, it was like it's the equivalent of today's payday loans. It was just like, hey, Armel, you know what? You gambled this up. Go ahead, write it shit out and everything else. Go get some groceries for your food and everything else. And you could never pay that back. It was essentially a form of indentured servitude where you're working to pay that off and they owned you. So it's like, hey, we're not going to go for this. We're going to organize for the union, higher wages, this, that. So they would bring in union busters. And there was reports where like they would call them wars because they would be out there shooting and shit and people would be getting clapped and bodies would be getting stacked and everything else. So like Armel said earlier, it's to the machine's advantage for us not to be armed and not to be able to defend ourselves. Because if I want to start a strike and everything else, what do? you get a truckload or a couple of 15 guys to come in with bats, and you have two or three of them with guns, and they bust the picket lines, you know,
That's
and you
exactly
can't
right.
defend you can't defend yourself. That's
And back to that,
you know,
if you can't defend yourself, right? There's a book that I think we got a few people in here. We ain't got that many because I speak boring ass shit right now. But this is what I'm telling you, right? There's this book that I read, the Willie Lynch essays. You know what I mean? And it's how to make a slave. You know what I mean? You don't beat all the fucking slaves. You take the toughest, roughest motherfucker and you beat the shit out of him and you humiliate him and you make
well,
that causes the other motherfuckers to fall in line.
yeah.
So
Armel, speaking of that, speaking of the Willie Lynch letters and everything else, there's some argument as to the authenticity of that. Now they did say,
I know it's
yeah,
not factual thing and it may be
yeah.
something
But
about that, right? But
the
that's
the
social
whole
psychology.
psychological, yeah, the whole psychology behind that is very true because it's just like this right here, right? And I used to say this, and I still say this. I'm scared to go to prison, but I'm living in jail. And what does that mean? Is I don't want to go out here and do this and everything else because I don't want to have my freedoms, my rights taken away. But I don't have any freedoms or rights. You know, I have to pay a registration to the government to drive a vehicle. I have to take a license to get a vehicle. I have to pay a license and a fee to go fishing, right? To go hunting, to do all those inalienable God-given rights. I can't do because if I do that, I'm going to get thrown in jail. If I got a piece of property that I don't own, I pay taxes on it, right? I don't own that. If I stop paying taxes on my house, they're going to come and take that shit away from me, whether I pay my mortgage or not, right? If I go and build something on my house without getting a permit, they're going to find me and take my shit away from me, right? If I decide to fucking put a pink, purple fucking playhouse in my front lawn, the HOA is going to come and say, hey, we're going to find you. You got to take that shit down. They're going to put a lien against my shit and sell my shit. So what do I own? How much freedom do I really have, right? And all it takes is for one person to get foreclosed on, one person to step out of line, and they make an example out of him, right?
Then everybody else complies.
They're gonna fall in line. You know, Genghis
Fall in
Khan did
line.
it. Yeah, Genghis Khan did it. All of your old empires did it. What do? You know, you make a covenant. The people that was vanquished, you put their heads on a fucking pike. And now you know what we used to do back in the old west. We have public executions. You go against the norms, we hang your ass.
And
Everyone's
that's
like, yeah, you
called
know
what?
what?
Psychological warfare.
And it works. It's called effectiveness. Think about this right here, right? Look at Libya, right? Look at Gaddafi. Gaddafi wanted to come off of the U.S. dollar. He wanted to create a Pan African currency, everything else. Libya had zero debt. Libya provided free education. Libya did this, did that for the citizens. Not saying that what they did with terrorism and everything else. I'm just saying what they did for the citizens. He spoke that good shit. What happened to him?
He was martyred.
He
But
yeah, he
that's a
stepped
whole
out of
nother
line.
thing.
He stepped out of line. He got made an example of. Look at La Pina, uh, dude down in Panama. He was useful until he wasn't. Look what happened to him. You know, look
He
at Noriega.
interrupted. He interrupted the system.
He was no longer useful. You know,
This shit
because
is literally the Matrix, right? And psychological warfare is a real thing. Who is this psychological warfare going on? And everybody looking at this China as this enemy or Russia as this enemy or whoever the fuck the politicians say is the enemy. But the real psychological warfare going on is against us.
well, it's like this right here, right? Remember growing up?
They're fighting us to conform.
Yeah, remember growing up, and you know your parents may or may not have done this. Go to bed early. If you don't go to bed, Santa's not going to come. You know, don't go in there. You have to have a boogeyman to keep people in place, right? You have to have the carrot and the stick. The carrot is you go to bed early, Santa's not going to come, right? We all know good goddamn well Santa ain't fucking. It ain't no Christmas in Hollis, you know. So we've been programmed to do this, and we're still falling into that programming of our kids to say this and say that. Get good grades and this. That's bullshit. You can get the best grades there are, but the schools are teaching. They're not teaching anything, in my opinion, for people to go out and to succeed. I
No, you
get
got to
good
get good
grades.
grades so you can get a good job.
Bullshit. I get good grades. I go to college. I leave college with $100,000 in debt because
To get a good job, to pay the
to get
debt.
a good job. Well, hold up. To get a good job, that tells me I need 5, 10, 15 years experience to get hired. It's like gangster or what? Still got to pay that debt, right?
yeah. So what I'm saying is, man, a lot of the shit that's happening is a result of the system programming us. You know what I mean? The system is way too big. It's 700 years in the making. You know what I mean? But what you can do is get a system update, and your little, as an individual, as your little part, right? And you have to have the foresight to see what direction the system is going in, right? And you have to find your part, and then you have to insulate yourself
Yeah. I would
from a
challenge
crash.
everyone. I would challenge everyone that's on the chat right now. There's a book called "The Spook That Sat Behind the Door." Right. It was made in the late '60s, whatever. It's an interesting read, and just read that or research it and look at it. And one of the best ways to fight the system, believe it or not, is to be within the system. Because in order to fight it, I have to understand it. Right? I have to understand my enemy. I have to understand how my enemy works. Because if you don't, you won't be effective.
You just a victim of what I call a victim of the psychological warfare that's going on. You're a token, and it's going to spit you out. So you can either be a victim of the system or an asset in the system. You know what I mean? You could be an
There,
asset,
there's
not just an
there's
asset, an insulated asset.
yeah, there's a few schools of thought on it. You can go along and get along. You can get in and go along and pull out as much as you can and everything else. But keep in mind, when the system is done with you, they're done with you. So let's look at some historical people. Let's take Noriega. You know, he went to Escuela de Julio, School of the Americas, right? They propped him up, did this and did that. Allegedly, he was doing this and everything for a couple of agencies and all this other stuff. They turned a blind eye to some of the things he was doing. He stepped out of line, and he's sitting down there, in Florida right now. Let's look at like Nicaragua and Honduras and everything else. There's a gentleman that wrote, or he was the director of a large marketing firm and everything else, and he wrote and put into play um, some things that caused the destabilization of some governments for the Dole Fruit Company because down there, they figured out, hey, we can grow fucking fruit and everything else. Same thing with the Kingdom of Hawaii. We took that shit over for one strategic reasons, and then also because of fucking plantations to grow exotic fruits. And if you've
Internationally,
done
we
so,
could talk about toppling and the psyops that go on, and you probably know a lot about that too, right? Internationally, we could go shit, easy shit, Russia. We could go
hmm,
China,
hell, you
name
don't
it.
even got to do that. You can look at here in America, right? Let's talk
That's what
about
I'm getting at, Joe.
let's talk
That's
about let's
exact.
talk about BLM, right?
Yeah.
They sit down here and they do this and they do that, and they get everyone excited and all this and all that. You get all these protests, you get all these marches, you start moving that stuff, and then nothing happens. Because I drop these buzzwords and everything else, and I get people excited. And I find it funny how a slogan on a T-shirt can bring out so much hate, fury, and wrath,
Okay.
right?
The Antifa.
Remember, yeah, Antifa, right?
Oh my
You
fucking
got people
god.
trying to burn. Yeah, you got people burning shit down just because you mentioned Antifa. I did something when BLM was popping and everything else, right? I went and I had some T-shirts made, and I support BLM on it, right? And I got looks from people and everything else. And someone asked me, "It's like you support BLM?" I was like, "Yeah." As a matter of fact, I'm gonna go to BLM right now. He's like, "What you mean?" Bureau of Land Management. I'm ready to go out that motherfucking do what I do out there in fucking free land. And it throws people for a loop because I'm so smart that I'm fucking dumb. I
Yeah.
just latch on to something and don't understand it, don't do my due research, my due diligence for research. And here it is. I'm standing out here protesting, getting my head cracked by the cops, getting egged and all this other shit. And the people that's running these corporations or these movements, they're up here in gated communities and going on vacations and shit like that. Is that gangster or
They
what?
buying a new jet. Shit go left. They got to exit.
Yeah. Or speaking of jets, right? We got all these climate warriors, right? And they're sitting down here saying, yeah, yada 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 yada. Okay, I got it. But now you're telling me I need to walk, I need to stop eating meat, I gotta stop fucking eating this lab grown shit and everything else. But you're flying off to Davos. Come on, man. You know what I mean? It's like make it make sense to me, man. Yeah, I'm done. I don't see that.
It's a psych. It's a it's a massive psyop going on against the
And we're
American
going for it.
people to
So
make
so
sure
even
America
yeah,
keeps working.
yeah, even this right here, right? Let's look at the Stanley Cup
Patrick
craze.
Irie, what up?
Look at the Stanley Cup craze. It's a fucking cup. It's a fucking tumbler.
Yo, I ain't gonna front, man. We ain't gonna talk about the Stanley Cup, man, because that shit kept my
You
coffee
got
warm for years. Before all this Yeti bullshit, I swear to God, I know they changed the colors and made them cool and shit, but yo, that shit kept my coffee warm for years. But
hey,
they ain't cost that much. They were like
$10,
$7.99
man.
back in the day. How much
Dude,
they cost
I
now?
caught I caught I caught mine on sale, man. I was just at Academy and I was like, man, that's a pretty cool looking mug. $45. I was like, man, you smoking dope. I can go down to Tractor Supply or Rural King and get one better
The
with the
ugly ass
right
green.
Stanley on it. Yeah, yeah.
The
No,
ugly
they
ass
don't make
green.
those no more.
Yo,
They don't make those
that
no more,
shit
man.
keep your coffee warm as the fuck, yo.
Matter of fact, you know what? Speaking of that, I got one from 1978 when we had that blizzard up in New York, New Jersey.
Mhm.
My mother put fucking hot cocoa in it. That shit's still hot. No cap.
Yeah, I ain't gonna front before the Yeti and all of that. I know it's a craze because they put the daggone colors on it and everything, but I had a Stanley Cup for years. You know what I mean? I had the little lunch box, the Stanley lunch box, the metal lunch box for years out in the world. You know what I mean? Because that's seriously the only thing that keep your joint warm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But and honestly, I guess it's just fads or whatever. I've gotten caught up in you know, uh, you know, you
A
you
Yeti
you
is
need to
lead
wear
free,
this.
Carbon said.
Yeah, you need to wear this, you need to do this and everything else and shit to fit in. So you go buy the murals, you go buy this, you go buy that. You gotta have this shit and everything else, right? And it's like come to think about it, it's like man, you know what? I can go get some fucking Carhartts and some Dickies. So I want to fuck them up, but it's part of that programming that I fell into that you know um, this validates me as a person. This validates me in my specific peer group.
Brainwash. Psyop.
Got it.
Psyop.
Got it. Matter of fact,
Psyop. Like, yo,
I'm checking the Vicos website right now because I gotta get the latest and greatest. This is what the operators wear because if I wear this, I'm gonna be an operator. You
psyop.
know?
Yo, you spend all the money and less money on training, and then when the shit go down, you giving it up anyway.
Yeah.
Or you play the video games and you Billy Badass motherfucker. You know what I mean? But in reality, psyop. You know what I mean? If they take your job away, they take your house away, they take everything away. Who are you?
And that's
So
the
my
question.
thing is, how do I make sure that the insulation part? How do I make sure that they can't take anything away from me without having to blow somebody fucking brains out?
That's the $1 million question, man. You know,
Well, that's not $1 million question. That's an easy ass question, man. It's
I'll bite.
called you do what they do. What do they do? They do something called diversifying portfolios, and they try to own very little.
Yeah,
You
but
know what
see,
I mean?
Armel, now you're talking about, you know, it's it's not very hard to do. You have to educate yourself in the ways of how it's done. Then you have to be disciplined to do it. So instead of going out to Starbucks and spending X amount of dollars on these lattes and whatever, I need to push that money into something that's going to make me money. I have to push those
Or not
funds
just the money, just the structure.
into a vehicle. I have to structure it right, and the structure is very important. The structure is key because remember, we can get in trouble because they pass laws now about the $600 on PayPal or wherever the fuck it is and everything else. It's key that you structure your stuff properly because if you don't structure it, you're going to run afoul of the system.
Another thing we got to educate ourselves in. A lot of times people go to court, right? I know I've been to court and I'm telling the judge all kinds of shit, and the judge ain't even hearing me. He said, "You got a lawyer?" Because one, the regular everyday person doesn't speak the language. Even though the law is written in layman's terms, the law is spoken in a language that's not spoken in any country but the Vatican, and that's Latin. Doctors have to know some Latin. Lawyers have to know some Latin, right? How
That
much
motherfucker
Latin do
said,
they teach
hey,
us?
that motherfucker said habeas corpus, motherfucker.
Yeah. What do these damn words mean? You know what I mean? Why is this Latin thing? The reason
Well,
why.
so also you have tort law and you have common law, right?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, yo. Oh,
Yeah, I
you
was just
smoking?
saying. So, and that's something that like I don't know. You know, I've stood.
The legalities, and the medicine and the science is in Latin. If you ever notice that, the doctors have to know it. You know what I mean? The reason why they use it in Latin because English is like this bastardized language that doesn't have a definite meaning to any words or phrase. So you can say a word or phrase and it can mean totally opposite. Certain languages, and you speak Arabic, it doesn't have that transactional thing. If you say this word, it's that fucking word.
That's what it means. There's no regional dialect in certain words. It's just
Yeah,
like this right here. Hey, get me a soda. Get me a pop. Get me a Coke. What does that mean? It means a whole bunch of different things depending upon where you're at in the country.
right. But
Even let's look at New York, right? Look at the five boroughs. If you say certain things, it means something completely different depending upon where you're at.
right. Yeah, so but
You know,
Latin doesn't have that. It's like a direct so that's why they use it as a specific language. Bolt Vote, what up, man? Where you been? Come on in here, yo.
well,
I
what's
haven't
up?
seen that brother in years.
It's just like when like in the law when you say prima facie, right? First look, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means something, when you start talking about, your probable cause and everything else. I don't know what the fuck that means, you know. But
Mike Henset, prosecutors and judge get offended when you speak their language.
oh yeah, they don't want you to know that. Well, and speaking of that, that goes back to if a slave knew how to read, it's the
Yep,
same thing.
same thing. You likely get locked up forever. You
Yeah,
like you
for
get
your
beat to
ass.
death.
Yeah,
Now, if a slave
yeah.
know how to read, it was like I think it was a death sentence because
Well,
it's a repeatable skill.
yeah. Well, it's a teachable skill, and
Yeah,
what it
teachable
was
skill.
was what it was a lot of it, to my understanding, had something to do with whoever the slave master was and whoever they associated with, because people are people. You got good people and bad people, and not judging them. Some people were a little bit more benevolent than others, right? So some people had a little bit more leeway and everything else. The whole system was fucked up. It was all wrong, you
It
know.
still is.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's it's
So
it's a psyop. Just realize that what's going on and educate yourself on your moves. Make calculated moves. You know what I mean, and try
yeah,
to insulate yourself. I
and
would suggest.
I was talking earlier to someone about the story of OJ, a song by Jay Z.
You know
listen
I
to
love
that
that song.
and really listen to it, right? And understand it, you know. And it's one of those things, like he said, whether you worked in the house or you worked in the field, you were still a slave, right? Bo, what's up?
What's up,
Well,
Finn?
what's
What's
up,
good?
man?
What's good? What's going on?
I know you was on your Sabbath yesterday, man. But yeah,
Absolutely.
you missed out. You missed out live on our new channel, man.
Oh, y'all started it?
Yeah, we went on first time yesterday. It was fire.
Mm.
It ran like 3 damn hours and
Uh,
backstage. Yeah.
that's what's up, man.
We was on one, you know what I mean? It was amazing, man. I'm very proud of it, man. I'm real proud
I
of it.
gotta go back and check that though, just to show us some, some support.
Yeah, I'm real proud of it. It was so dope that Dust just had a Friday night turkey live.
Word.
And Joe went on there, was on one. It was
I
dope,
wasn't
man.
on one, man. I'm
Yeah.
trying to be like Carmel, man.
Nah, man. Nah, I'm a
Yeah,
one-on-one,
he
baby.
just Carmel.
Yeah, I got the t-shirt on, man. What the hell you talking about? Yeah,
Nah,
I was on. It was on one, man, and it's only gonna get better, man.
Yo, I had a wild episode though, man.
Well, word.
A crazy.
So
I
what's
felt
been
like
going on? You see my topic with the psyop, man.
Saya.
Psychological warfare going on amongst the people in America by the powers that be. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, you know I'm on that.
Nah, just tell me how you see.
Well, I mean, I just feel like it's all a part of the agenda, man. I guess I would like to say it started really unfolding. I would say probably 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? When different presidency offices come in play, things that never was to be are happening. You know what I mean? Like laws, things we were never
I
able
think
to
it
do.
started like 700 years ago.
Oh yeah. I guess I'm introducing the end. You know, like towards what we facing right now. Not the doom and gloom, but just I just feel like a lot of things are unfolding right now, and it's all a part of the agenda. And watch your kids. I'm homeschooling. You know what I mean? It's a lot to look out for, and it's got to be careful out here, man. I feel like the 2A community probably on it. Most of us is already on it. Like
It's not a matter of on it. I think it's a lot of crazy conspiracy theories going around 2A community. And part of conspiracy theory is like mythology. Parts of it is true, but parts of it is crazy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why it's like that is because it's become an echo chamber. People are just echoing the shit they hear instead of doing their own due diligence. You know what I mean? And educating themselves to what's going on. Like I heard something on last week on a turkey chat, right? This, one of the brothers, you know what I mean, he may have been misinformed with some of the ideology of how this corporate economic system was working. Part of the corporate, he said that the government has to give money, let the corporations keep the money so they can trickle it down. Ain't no fucking trickle down no more. These motherfuckers pass it. That shit, they padding themselves. They buying a new yacht and trickle down and get you a job to clean that motherfucker. You know what I mean? It's not trickling down. Yo, everybody frozen?
Yeah, nah, I'm here, man.
Oh,
Hey, Mike Ken, LFD, Mike Ken.
what's that? Philly
Nah,
Slow,
Mike
what
asked
up?
me that was burning.
Yeah,
Mike
ain't no
Ken,
fucking
LFD.
trickle down no more.
Mm.
Ain't no more trickle down. That shit over. Game over, man.
Well, so and I see also it's just not the 2A community; it's also your prepper community. That's, um, they're in it to win it because they see what's happening. They see what's going on with your food supply and everything else, and how things is working. They're full of uh,
Mm-hmm.
they're messing with the food supply. Filling it full of chemicals, filling it full of this. and you got this lab-grown meat. You got Impossible Burgers, Impossible Chicken, and just
Yo,
all the
you know
stuff
what's
that's
ill
just
though,
not good for
Joe?
you.
I'm gonna interrupt you, right? This is how ill a psyop is, right? The earth is covered by 3/4 by what?
They got you paying for it.
The
They make
earth
you
is
pay for
covered
water.
three
They make you
quarters
pay for
of this
water.
fucking earth by fucking water, right? Water, you just turn the faucet on, dig a well, you get some water, you purify it yourself. Most of the fucking earth is covered by water, right? They package that shit up and sold it to you. And just when
Yeah,
you
but see,
figured out that, the motherfucking water, right? You paying for the plastic in the water, and you can get the same water out of the sink, right? They poisoned that shit.
yeah, but see, Mel, even one better than that. Uh, all the stuff is here, right? You got solar technology, you got wind technology, and everything else. You realize in a lot of municipalities, if you built a house and you say, I don't want to get tied into the city grid, you can't do that. You have to be tied into the city grid, right? You have to be tied into the infrastructure for utilities, water, gas, and electricity, right? I cannot, where I live at, and
Where
I'm a
most
Michigan
people
city.
can't, where most people live at, you can't do it.
Yeah, you can't do it. You have to be tied in. A lot of places, city ordinances, town ordinances, and everything else, it's illegal to have rain catchment systems for your water.
Yeah.
Like, how gangster is that, man?
You can't even collect your own goddamn water and purify
Yeah.
your own water.
How
Nothing.
gangster is that?
That shit. This shit is so fucking rigged that you can't drink your water out of the sink. Even though, right? And I can't stand these people that say, "Oh, we got purified water and buy that goddamn bottled water," because I ain't never seen no water tanker. The water that they buying out of the bottle is the same shit that come out of the faucet, and I happen to know that shit for a fucking fact.
A lot of your companies do use municipal tap water.
It
They'll
is
add
tap
stuff
water.
to it.
All of the
Yeah,
companies.
they'll add stuff to it, and that's just it, man. We're buying it. It goes back to the I'm gonna go get, I'm trying to be a better father and everything else, trying to build that relationship back with my daughters. I'm ready to go get 8 fucking Stanley tumblers, man, just because that's a new thing. They're gonna get those things, use them for 2 days, and the motherfucker's gonna be thrown away. You know, it was just like, so I'm caught up in that shit.
Yeah, this motherfucking water, right? That water shit was a game changer. That's why I'm a bottle shit, right? But it better have something else in it to make me feel like I spent my $2 good, man. It better have some acid, some citrus, some bullshit in
Nah,
it
man.
to make me feel like I
Hey,
paid for it.
here's my bottled water right there.
I had a guy come test my
You know
water.
mine.
I had a guy come test the water at a house when I first built it, and he came and test like all of these different brands. I guess he was trying to, get me to buy a system for the house,
Yeah.
but he came and tested all your major brands. He even tested Walmart, and like the Walmart came back as the clearest test. Everything else coming back light green, dark green, brownish. When he put the little
What do you
drip in,
test the water with?
I forget what it was. It was a few years, but I know he had. It was like some droppings, and he showed me whatever
Yeah.
color, whatever.
TSP.
Yeah, might most likely. So yeah,
It's
but
the
it's
same
just
shit that they. It's the same shit that they put in this shit. In soda.
Yeah.
It's like create the problem so you could create an answer, get money off of it, man. Even with farmers, like they can't even grow their own seeds. Like you're getting ran down on.
Monsanto's.
Monsanto,
Monsanto.
right? So you know what I'm saying?
It's
Like
just like
people don't realize it's like it's out of control, right? But there is no control. They got it all,
well,
and they just
it's
have
just
a
like
way
corn, right? It's just like corn, right? You can't save your corn seeds and everything else. You have to buy new corn stock every year because everything's been hybrids and everything else. In the wild, corn would not exist without man's help. So we have a bad habit of manipulating stuff to get higher yields, better resistance to insects. You use a lot of pesticides and everything else. Just like the thing about the McDonald's French fries, right? The pesticides that we use on those to get a uniform product, right?
Mm-hmm.
Potatoes don't grow like that.
No, but genetic modification's been part of agriculture. That's another part of social engineering.
But
The
Armel,
food production.
the level of genetic modification before they were making hybrids of two plants to get the best out of both of them, right?
A fucking corn is a genetically modified plant from the fucking go. You can't even have corn without genetically modifying.
Yeah, hold on, but Armel, when you talk about it, you're talking about crossbreeding, cross pollination. I'm not talking about injecting chemicals to make this hybrid 6 feet or 3 feet, to increase the yield per acre, because remember, like your heirlooms and stuff like that. Now I'm genetically modifying these through chemicals, so my tomatoes are bright cherry red, they're round, they're uniform, they're this, they're that. They're not like the tomatoes you used to get. You go to Italy when they grow tomatoes, or guys that grow tomatoes in their garden. They're not perfectly round. They're not bright cherry red. They're not this. They're not that. We have this thing for the physical, right? The form versus the function. Right? When you go in there and you buy an apple, you're getting that bright cherry red apple, whatever that looks like the apple we're used to seeing. If you would go back 100, 200 years ago, the fruits and vegetables that they had back then compared to the ones we have right now, totally indistinguishable. Right? Look at bananas, the Stevenson banana. It's been genetically modified. And answer me this right here, right? Let's take avocados. Avocados are a seasonal fruit, right? How in the hell can I get fresh avocados in the middle of winter time? Right?
Oh, that's a whole nother thing.
How in the hell can I get dates, right, from Iraq to get sell on a ship for 14 days, get stuck in fucking quarantine, get stuck. 30 days later, I got fresh fucking dates. I have to use chemicals, right? I have to.
The sad thing about that whole thing with the food, right, is we get this shit, we want this shit, the demand is high for the shit, but we waste the shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Look at your average restaurant in the U.S. How much food they throw away. Look at the buffets that waste so much food in Vegas. There's not a hunger issue in the U.S. There's not a shortage of food supply issue in the U.S. There is a utilization and accessibility issue of food in the U.S. Fight me on it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the waste of food, you eat yourself to death. People in America, this is how bad the PSYOP is, right? Them slaves that we just was talking about a little while ago, they wanted to learn how to read, right? They gave them a whole bunch of motherfucking books. So many fucking books that they ain't want to read the motherfuckers no more. Right? Those people that said, we need to find God, they gave them so many goddamn churches and so many gods, and goddamn, they ain't want to go to church no more. And they said, hey, we need resources and information. Sure, we giving you the internet, but it's so much shit on the internet, you don't even want to look at all that shit. You just want to look at motherfucking Facebook and IG and Snapchat. It's the whole damn internet out there. But they gave you so much of it that you lost your appetite. It was like the Tom and Jerry, don't forget the gravy. Yeah. And he just keep giving that motherfucker that shit, right? Until he don't even want it no more. Yeah. You know what I mean? Motherfucker want food. We're not getting proper food in the community. You know what I mean? We're going to put these food carts out here. Not only we going to put these food carts out here, we're going to give you so much fruits and vegetables that shit going to kill you. Genetically modified. Oh, you ain't getting enough greens in your diet. Here, take some more.
So think about this right here, right? In the urban areas, inner cities, and everything else, we have these things called food deserts, right? I know growing up, I didn't have any grocery stores in my neighborhood. I had bodegas and liquor stores, right? So we get inoculated to the fact that when I look at something that's food, It's fast food. It's going to the bodega and getting a sandwich. You know, it's not that food that has that good nutritional value.
That
It's
was your
all
deli and
processed.
all, right?
Exactly. It's all processed and everything else. So now as I grow up, I don't know how to cook. What do I do? Burger King, McDonald's, they got a twofer. I DoorDash it, right? There's no more
Motherfucking Wendy's 4 for $4.
small, medium, or regular. Everything's supersized, right? I got Cokes. I got to start my day off with a Coca-Cola, high fructose corn syrup, all that stuff. I've been indoctrinated and everything else. I'm so deep into it, I can't get out. I can't get out. They're like Q. If you drink or eat one more
Yo, have you
number
ever ate
three,
real bread, man? That shit
yeah.
disgusting as fuck.
What's
So
that,
here's
man?
the cool thing. Here's the cool thing right here about bread, right? You can buy a loaf of bread that's just sitting in your house for a fucking month and won't fucking rot or mold.
Nothing
Real
rots.
bread don't last that long.
Nothing rots
Exactly.
anymore. Your vegetables stay. Everything stays, man,
Yeah,
for a long time.
yeah. So it's like I don't even know what real food is, right? Doctor said, "Hey Q, man, you got high cholesterol, low fucking testosterone. You got this, you got that. You got to stop. What's your diet like? Supersize it, this, that." It's like, well, you got to stop that, else you're gonna die. You realize I'm so addicted to that stuff, I can't even stop it to live.
You know the real shit? There is real food out there, but it costs so much and it's so hard to get that it's unobtainable for damn near 90% of the world's population.
Well, you have those food deserts, right? If you look in your urban environments, your inner cities, you have food deserts. They don't have supermarkets where you got an option between I can go in and everything else. And that also goes back to your family. Now, if you're in a two income household, right? That's the standard. Moms and pops is working. There's no one there sitting down there cooking meals every day. Gone are the days where you get together around the fold up table in the corner of the kitchen that was the ironing board, the card table, the bill table, right?
Right.
You don't do that anymore. It's like, hey, I'll stop at Chuck E. Cheese or I'll stop at Wendy's. They got 4 for $4. They got this. They got twofers. They got that. So you're eating all this processed food. Like right now, you probably don't even have to fucking embalm a body anymore for it to fucking, stay. 'Cause They did a study. They said like now, bodies used to decompose 7 years,
I
whatever it was.
know when I'm out of the country and shit. Like if I go down to Jamaica and shit, the Cass place, right? They buy food every single fucking day. It ain't no supermarket. And if the shit ain't in season, they don't got it. If the fruit ain't in season, they don't got it.
Yep.
You know what I
It's just
mean?
like a lot of places, right? When's the last time you guys went to a butcher shop? You
I
actually
go
seen
all the
cut
time. I go
meat?
every month.
They don't really have them in North Carolina like that. Not that I know of.
They don't got a halal butcher or a kosher butcher.
I just found
A kosher butcher,
kosher spot, and it's
a butcher.
It's like Indian owned. I want to go in there and I want to go check them out. But other than that, you got your fish market, you got your seafood fish markets.
I know they got a kosher butcher down there.
That's what I'm saying. Like I found one. And yo, Mel, you remember Cat's Deli?
Mm-hmm.
They got a Cat's down here.
They got a Cat's down there.
Yeah,
they got it's across
on,
on the other side of town.
yeah.
So that's
on the corner of Houston Street.
Yeah,
Y'all
exactly.
know about that, man.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all kosher. But as far as like a butcher, like back in the day, butcher, you could go get anything cut fresh. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I want to go check the Indian spot out that I saw though.
Those are far and few between, man.
The food game's so crazy, man. They label the food with the circle U. You know what I mean? Certain foods that cats don't eat. Certain people don't eat for some. You know what I mean? With me, all this shit is poison. And I smoke, I drink, I fuck, and it's all poison. You know what I mean? It's all going to kill me.
What you feel about?
Don't have to embalm my body or nothing.
What you feel about growing? You got a yard. What you feel about growing?
I kill shit. I don't grow shit. I'm horrible at that, bro.
Man, me and Bree been talking about that. As soon as we move, I think I want to make sure I got space to grow. But like she that's you know what I mean, she could do it. But I mean, it's like, come on, bro. Like you can't even find everything to
Not
see.
even a growing is bad. Is not even, you know what I mean? You just got to deal with what you can get because, like I said, you can't even really buy seeds. Where the fuck the seeds coming from?
Right.
You can buy seeds, man.
Yeah, but the Monsanto shit, you know what I mean?
I follow a few what they call it, homesteaders, black homesteaders. I follow a few of those pages and they sell them, bro. They sell seeds.
Yeah, and that's fact. And that's, I'm glad you brought that up because the way to get the system is you got to become more independent of it and stop depending on it.
Yeah, I would say they'll follow Gina versus Gina. She's all into that.
Okay.
Not homesteading, but gardening and everything else.
And stuff.
That's dope. And preserving your stuff and utilizing the heirloom seeds and doing all that stuff. And like, you know, like, hey, a tree grows in Brooklyn.
Pretty much.
Yeah, Gina's really dope with that. I wish I knew how to drop the links on there, but I don't know how. So
I want to share something with y'all though, man. I know we staying on topic, so just let me know when I got something crazy that just happened. I just wanted to kind of
go ahead, talk your shit.
I don't want to ruin another show topic. It could possibly be, but
go ahead. We'll throw it on another show. But go ahead, talk about that shit. We only got like 10 minutes because I gotta go. We got 7 minutes because I gotta go. I gotta eat.
All right. No, I had a homeboy, my man, worked with for a long time, looking at him like a little brother or whatever, right? So he calls me the other night, and I missed his call. I see emergency SOS. Pick up, please, pick up. So I picked the phone up, and he's like, he went to go see his little lady or whatever to give her a birthday gift, and basically, her baby daddy pulled up on him and beat him up, jumped him and all that, and they had guns on him and all that, right? So he's calling me after the fact of shaking him off and calling police, and they chased him, and he said a shot went off and this and this and that. But this is all in like a 14-second call. I'm like, what happened? I'm like, what's up? You all right? You out of there? Like, ain't nobody following you. He's like, yo, you home? So before I could even say, yeah, I'm in the crib, I'm laying down or whatever the case may be, he like, I'm in the front. So, I'm like, all right, I'm like, ain't nobody following you, right? Like, I'm seeing like, nah, the police came and he, chased them off. Dudes try to, they know who he is. The girl also made a complaint. I'm like, all right, so he comes to my door, I let him in. And the way he's acting is so paranoid. It's like, yo, are you sure you didn't get followed? You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, it could be adrenaline, but I'm like, there's no way you this jumpy and you don't even like. I stepped outside after we talked for a few minutes. I stepped outside. My man didn't even want to follow me out my front door. You know what I'm saying? He looking out the door like, I'm like, yo, man, you making me scared. I'm like, you sure you ain't get followed or whatever, bro? So long story short, or shorter, to try to make it shorter, right? He finds out somewhere to go. He don't want to take his car home or whatever. So he like, I'm gonna call somebody and see if I can swap cars with him. Because, I don't know if Shorty know where I live, if she gave him the address. He's thinking, I got to get low or whatever in case they try to pull up. I call the cops, and I don't know if they're going to feel a way about me doing that. So, he left my house. But the way he was acting now, I'm a little sketchy. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, yo, you acting like somebody, there's a 20%, 30% chance that somebody could have followed you here. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I'm outside, smoking a cigarette, trying to bring my energy back down after he left. So I see this vehicle about 2 or 3 houses over, a little SUV, like the bumper was off. And I know, you know your street. You know what I'm saying? You know who's here, who's what. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I see him park, and I see the phones, like, you know how you could see somebody reflection off a phone. Like you know what I'm saying? If it's dark outside, you can see the light on them. And I'm seeing that in the front seat and in the back seat. And my garage has glass in the garage where I could go and check it. So after I looked to see where the car was, I kept, making sure I went to the garage, had the lights out, and kept watching the vehicle. So the vehicle stayed there. Yo, Joe, I'm talking about at least 45 minutes. And the person's house they parked in front of some Caucasian middle-aged family, this and the third. They don't got no people visiting them. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at it, you know what I'm saying? And just sitting in the car. I got some Spanish people that live next door to me, and they usually have a lot of cars, a lot of people visiting or whatever. Or once they from work, they pick up trucks, come park there. You see a lot of vehicles on an average night. So this is on the other side of them. So I'm looking. I call Bree. I say, hey, babe, come in here. Can you look down there and tell me if you think you see people in that car right there? And she's like, yeah, like the back window is down too. What are they doing? You know what I'm saying? So we sitting there, we looking. 45 minutes had to go by. Yo, bro, I looked out the window, bro. Niggas was in front of my crib. The same car sat for an hour and pulled up right in front of my crib. I said, Bree, let's go. It's time. You know what I'm saying? Ran upstairs. I 300 blackout. Gave her the joint or whatever. We wake my oldest up. We ain't wake my youngest up. Wake my oldest up, told her to get to the back of the house. She's nervous. Wife calls 911. Boom. A friend came by. We think he might have brought some bad energy over here. Boom, boom, boom. So now I'm sitting there looking at this car. You know what I'm saying? They sat there for maybe 45, maybe about two minutes, and he pulls off and hit their lights out. Because when they first pulled up, the headlights was on. So they pulling off now with their lights out, right? Police is already called. So I'm like, all right, boom. Everybody behind me, Bree, you stand here because I need to be able to communicate with you. You know what I'm saying? Like right here.
Yeah.
So they pulls off, bro. They spent back and came back and pulled up in front of my mailbox, bro. I'm trying to see who's driving. They had like tinted windows. It's like an older SUV. Could it be like I don't know, silver bumper off? It don't match the block. It's a standout car. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So then they right in my front of my mailbox, bro. So now I apologize to y'all because y'all told me to get that ring camera like 2-3 weeks ago. I still ain't even get that shit. You know what I'm saying? But like, you know what I'm saying? Like they have the mailbox, right? So now I'm at the window and I'm in the front of the house, top floor, looking dead at the mailbox. It's on me. I'm nervous. I'm like, yo, who's in there? I see a dude, heavyset dude, come from the side of the house between me and the neighbor, the Spanish people house, through the grass, walk up to the vehicle, talk to the driver for a hot couple of seconds, and get in the back seat and they leave. Soon as they left, I'm at the cul-de-sac. So when they passing me, they go to the cul-de-sac, they come back around. By the time they pass in the house, police passes them like this. But it had to be a 15-minute distance between the phone call and them coming. So you know what I'm saying? So they was dead, look, boom, boom, boom. So I think it's a topic because I feel like we handled it well. I'm proud of wifey. She didn't get overly fearful, overly, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like she kind of kept her self-control. She listened to what I was saying. She had some sporadic moments where she talked about like, open the window because what if you got to shoot? And I had to tell her, you can't shoot nobody through this window. That's when you go to jail. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like you go to jail. Yeah. You know, like a lot of lessons. It's like that was real high energy. I'm thinking, come on, son, come from my backyard. I'm thinking like, yo, they casing the crib. And all of that, wait, back in our last talk, what was we talking about? Point to the home. Where should everybody go? Boom, boom, boom. And it just happened.
Yeah. So something like that, man. I would say talk to your neighbor and find out. It's like, hey, man, the other night.
The next morning, I talked to the neighbor, and they Spanish, so they wasn't really understanding me. But after a while, they said, oh, maybe Michael. Listen, so it's a possibility that it was somebody that they had over there that night that was there for a while and just sat in the car and didn't happen to leave.
And one of those things, man, you have to look at it like, like was it a Uber driver or a food driver making a delivery? You can kind of throw that one out because they generally don't roll 4 deep.
Yeah, like
Uber's throw it out because
after 5, they got 5 minutes and they out.
Yeah, yeah. They got someone that's making a delivery. You got Johnny's Pizzeria, or whatever, on their shit 9 times out of 10. Then you got to think, well, why would someone be coming from in between the houses? I would
That,
honestly say,
that's
man, you need to get yourself, you need to get yourself like the Ring camera or some type of
mhm,
exterior surveillance stuff, and get lights, get motion lights, around the perimeter of your house,
mhm,
because again, um, if it was someone trying to get a lick and they got someone in the back and you didn't know about it, someone dipped to the back, now you're looking at 2 points of convergence into your
mhm.
house, because one, I'm not saying the worst of people, but I got trust issues. So dudes in the back, they coming through the front,
This is in
trying to
front of my
flush someone
house.
out. They're trying to flush
Mhm.
someone out, get a squirter, everything else. So, unfortunately, in a time and environment that we live in, it's not beyond the realm of possibility that it could have been a home invasion. It could have been looking for your friend. It could have been up to nefarious shit. So you need to know, if you got, like, talk to your neighbors, see if they got a Ring camera, see if they got picked up on that camera, so you can at least identify the vehicle in case the vehicle shows up again. And be like, yo,
Mhm.
that motherfucker definitely don't fucking belong
Right.
here. Does that make any sense?
That
And I'm
makes
not
total
like
sense. Yeah,
not
yeah.
like trying to be paranoid or anything
Rental.
else and shit.
Nah,
You
that
know,
makes total sense. I'm just saying, like, at the moment of, oh shit, like they here,
Rental.
and I'm sitting here waiting on
yeah,
police.
Nah,
yeah.
everything got a camera on it, bro.
It
And
could
I'm,
be it could be real scary and real intimidating. I don't care
mhm.
who you are, how many times you've experienced it and everything else, man.
And that's the
It
thing.
can be
Like,
unnerving.
right. That's the thing. I feel like I've been through what I've been through in life, right? Me and Mel talk about shit like this all the time. And it's like the difference of this particular night was I'm in a house with women and kids.
Yeah,
But like I show them how to shoot. I do this and the third. So now somebody else's problem is coming to my front door. I'm like, oh shit.
The crazy shit
Yeah,
is,
I was
right?
in the
And this
streets
has
or you in the
everything to do
store.
with tonight's topic, right? That has
Mm-hmm.
everything to do with tonight's topic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, right before you even told your story, right? The key to surviving to flourishing in the system is becoming independent of the system. The
Mm-hmm.
system needs you. You don't need it.
Absolutely.
The system, you, right? Call the police, which was the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Correct, right? Look
She
how long those motherfuckers took.
yeah.
shit.
Look at what the response time was.
Yeah, it was 15 minutes.
They don't give a fuck about you. The
I was
police is a system,
right.
but you played within the system. You called them. You let them know some shit is going down. Da da da. You let them know the general information that you knew,
Right.
right? But you informed them, but you didn't depend on them. You went and grabbed a 300 black and got and ready to get busy. You put
I
the
said, tool
you put your
up.
you were scared and all, but you put your family in a position behind you in a safe place or what you for them to be safe. You know what I mean?
But
And you was ready to go if it went down.
that's something that I feel like I'm proud of myself for.
You know what I mean?
Just from entering this two-way life and looking at different perspectives and getting into it from those angles, because old Kai would have went outside like, yo, what's up? Y'all need help with something? Like, it would have been, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, what's going on? Y'all need help with something? What up? Everything good? What you doing out in front of my house? You know somebody over there? It would have been all of that. And I would have went to the confrontation. Gripped out, like, with things all out, showing things, yo, get out of here. I would have did all that. But like, it's a new system that's mentally taking over. That was like, oh shit.
More intelligent. I don't have to brandish.
Right.
When it comes,
Yeah,
I got the drop.
I call it that new level of maturity that I'm in. Because the
Right.
old me would have went out like, yo, Leroy Jenkins. You
Right.
know, now it's just, all right, man. I'm just gonna sit back and want to do what I gotta do as far as, like Armel said, the system is concerned. Hey, whoever's in the house with me, hey, look, this is the deal. I need you to go to this spot. Don't come out until I come in and get you. you know. And if anyone
Lights
comes to the
out.
store, yeah,
All the
anyone
lights,
comes to
all
the
the lights
store,
was out. All the lights, I
you know.
made sure I did that as soon as homeboy left. Because I'm like, now I want the house to get back calm because she knew what was going on. But when he came to see, I told her, yo, look, go upstairs. My Mike coming over, she know Mike. So that's when all the lights, as soon as Mike left, all the lights out, this and the third. I just kept coming outside to watch.
Yeah.
I surrounded him.
So,
He was nervous, the way he was acting all nervous. And
yeah.
I'm like, yo,
Hey,
bro.
Walt,
Like,
The other thing is, your people safe.
hmm?
Is he safe now?
Yeah, he good. He good. I saw him.
And
I hope he's
and
strapped the fuck up.
Yeah. And Volt, I would say this, man, just be aware and be cognizant of your personal security and everything else around that bubble. Because a lot of times we get comfortable and complacent when we get to our house. And I'm not saying those individuals was up to anything nefarious, but they might come back. They might say, well, we followed this individual to this location. This is, where he's at. We might try to intercept him here. So be aware of that. Be aware that it's like they might mistaken you for him.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
trying to get a lick on you. So you have to be aware of that. I would say get exterior lights around your house because one of the choke points, your blind spots, I don't know how your house is set up. When you pull into your driveway, you're doing stuff, getting shit going to your house. If they come from the side of the house from behind you, right? Or if they just, try to lay back and say, there that dude is right there. Let's get him in his driveway while he's pulling up. He got groceries in his hand.
Yo, it was one thing seeing that car in the front. That was one thing, right? But when I saw a homeboy come from this, that took it like that threw it to the roof.
Yeah.
But the important thing is, man, you were ready.
Yeah,
you were ready. Whatever percentage of readiness you was at, you was ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
First thing,
like I'm
secure
saying,
your family.
You wasn't fumbling around contemplating what is. Let me find this. Let me do this. What is we gonna do? He was like, yo,
I told Mike.
Hold up. Let me end the live real quick, man.
All right.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Thank you for stopping by. The little people that still fuck with me.
Peace, everybody.
You know what I mean? But I love y'all, man, and I'll see y'all another time, man. And
hey, take it easy, chat.
Love y'all. Peace, people.
Peace.